Hi, I am Kate Carver. I'm an artist, animator, and writer, and I just wanted to talk about some of the things that are going on in the movie industry today, as far as animation and even live action. I feel that you know there is a major lack of creativity. When I was growing up, there was much more of a sense of creativity and original ideas. And even when there were movies that weren't necessarily huge hits, they were still fun to watch and they still had a sense of structure and a sense of story. But these are some of the points that I wanted to talk about the problems we have today in the movie industry. Whether it's remakes or sequels, these are some of the points I made. Um, that you have too many companies that are in the play it safe zone. In other words, they don't go after any original ideas and they don't take the time to really think things through, and to really think, how can we make this idea better, and just really take the time with it. Um, Too many companies today, they just take an original idea, something that's already been made, and most of the time they'll just put 3D icing on it or live action icing on it. And so, whether it's Disney remakes or sequels, or anything like that, there is not a lot of originality anymore. There's a major loss of creativity, and one of the reasons why is because when you have these really big companies, is that usually these people in power are afraid of taking risks. They're afraid of risking anything that's original or different because they have too much to lose. And Disney is right up there. It is one of the most powerful companies in the world, but these people are so afraid of, taking risks on anything original or anything that stands out, anything that's not based on the demographic. And so they just stay with the things that are familiar and safe. Although what's funny is, with a lot of the remakes they do, they just don't hit that point. They just don't have the same magical quality that the original movies had during the time of Walt Disney. I remember a friend telling me how, in Disney's golden age, Walt Disney would think very carefully about a story. And it took him years. It would take him a long time to figure out what the story was supposed to look like. And once he understood what the story should be, once he liked what he had, that's when he would give it to his animators. The problem is today, too many people just want to rush into it. Too many people just want to, make a story, overnight. But the thing is, anything worth doing is never going to happen overnight. Anything that's really worth, working on is going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of thinking. It's going to take a lot of work and patience. And granted, even though we have a lot of technology today that can make some things go faster, like we can do animation techniques on tablets that make things go faster, and hey, that may work for some people, that's fine. But at the same time, I think usually, the fast way is not always the right way. Just because you can do something faster does not necessarily mean it's going to be better. And so that's one of the major problems with a lot of these companies in power, is their major weakness is the fear of losing power. and ultimately because they're afraid of taking risks. And the next point I wanted to show is outsiders have the advantage. And this is also what people in power are afraid of. A lot of times when you have outsiders, people who are in charge of a company or who are powerful, they usually try to malign these kind of people who are outsiders because at rock bottom, they're afraid of them. Because they themselves are not willing to take risks, they feel threatened by anyone who is willing to take risks. So therefore, they will try to malign them. But again, this is where outsiders have the advantage because they don't have that much to lose. Most of the time, they have nothing to lose. And so they're more willing to risk failure. And that's the thing. The people who are more successful are the ones who are more willing to risk failure, even at the risk of losing everything they have. So I would tell you, for those of you who are outsiders and who aren't part of any big companies or businesses, use that to your advantage. You have a lot more power than you realize. When you have that power of having nothing to lose, that is often a greater power than when you have too much to lose. And the next point I made was that demographics are dangerous. It's very easy to get into that zone of doing what sells, like a lot of the Disney remakes or sequels and whatnot, and because that sells, people keep doing it. But the thing is, just because something sells today does not mean that it will last tomorrow. I'm going to say that again. Just because something sells today does not mean that it will last tomorrow. And so, I have nothing against many of these Disney remakes. Some of them are very entertaining, some of them can be fun, but this is just my personal opinion. I really think that a lot of the original animated versions are going to outlive these remakes. And I've seen on YouTube there are a lot of people who are really ticked off about these remakes, and they still prefer the originals. And so I think one of the big problems is with these remakes is that Disney is not doing anything really original. They're not doing any original stories. They're not, looking at books with original ideas. And that's exactly what Walt Disney and his team of animators did in the past. That's how you got all, those great Disney films like Winnie the Pooh or The Jungle Book or Mary Poppins. That was because, they looked for things that were original. And when you have something like Mary Poppins Returns, well, that's not necessarily original. But anyway, these were just my own personal opinions about this subject. And I think one of the major problems in the film industry today is we are not taking risks and we are not taking the time to make good ideas and good stories. And that's what I really try to do in my own work, is to just slow down and to just take my time to think things through and reflect on things. And that's what we need more in our culture today. So for those of you outside who are outsiders, don't be afraid of taking risks. Don't be afraid of being on the outside, because that is a greater advantage than you know. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll be doing more videos like this in the future. So, thank you.